Hi everyone, and welcome to the investor webinar for Carnavale Resources, stock code CAV. Today we'll be hearing from CEO Humphrey Hale, who will talk you through the exciting projects that the company holds and how it's using its well-funded position to advance those projects. So I'd now like to introduce Humphrey Hale, the CEO of Carnavale Resources, who will go through the presentation for you. Humphrey, over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. Here we are at Carnavale Resources and the Junior Explorer, and we are looking for gold and nickel in exploration projects within WA. Next slide. Here are the usual cautionary statements, and straight on to the corporate overview. We are currently market capped at around 20 million, as our share price is 0.9 today, which is a good uplift from where we were. And we have $4.1 million in the bank as of the end of March. Now, we've done some drilling and have had some admin, so that'll be a bit less at the end of June, but we're well funded to go forward with exploration. Our directors own over 7%, and the top 20 have 51%. And we do have 2.3 billion shares on issue as a result of being an exploration company since our list in 2007. Next slide. Next slide. We have an experienced board and management. Back one, please. Experienced board and management. Ron Gajewski has been chairman of the company from its inception. Andy Beckwith has been with the company for a very long time, and it has been instrumental with Alan Neeshaw in the discovery of the Hemi deposit for De Grey. And that is the reason that I was asked to be CEO recently, as I was consulting to the company for about 10 months prior, back from the beginning of July, and to bring the company forward to develop the projects. Andy's success at De Grey meant that he couldn't maintain his position as MD at Carnavale. I've worked with Andy many years ago and Alan Neeshaw when we were at Anglo Gold Ashanti together, and so the team has a good track record of success, both through Anglo Gold, De Grey, Carnavale here, and other things. And so moving forward, we're well placed to use the understanding of geological systems, the acquisition of good projects, to provide good shareholder value. Next slide, please. Carnavale has 4 major projects and focused on gold, nickel sulfides, and platinum group elements, all within Western Australia, which is where you want to be right now, and certainly within gold and nickel and platinum group elements as far as rising prices in the market. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So the last 5 years, pricing on nickel and gold, certainly very strong in gold. We have 2 projects, Kukani and Ora Banda, focusing on gold exploration. Kukani being very, very advanced at this stage with air core drilling. Ora Banda next cab off the rank. And with nickel, we've been drilling at Grey Dam for nickel sulfides, and have an additional program of ultrafine fraction salts that I'll talk about to come forward in a northern area undercover. Next slide, please. Rhodium, platinum, palladium, new energy metals, along with nickel and nickel sulfate. The market for these has taken off enormously. And along with our Grey Dam project and our newly acquired Barracuda project in WA near Mount Magnet, we're well placed to take advantage of these increasing prices. And we see the commodities lasting a long time with the new era of battery metals and new energy metals going forward. So we have a nice portfolio of gold and nickel assets. Next slide, please. our main project at the moment, the one we've been focusing on over the last 6 months and drilling with Aircore, is Kukani project, Kukani Gold Project, which is 2 hours drive north of Kalgoorlie. This area is characterized by high grade, smaller gold deposits, and historically the 650,000 ounces have come out of this area. We have 5 tenements with approximately 50 square kilometres in the region, and we're surrounded by Metallisty, Genesis, GTR Resources, and to the north you've got Genesis Minerals Greater Ulysses project, which is substantial. They've done a great job in pulling together that land package, and they have 1.6 million tonnes at 1.8 grams and are looking to build a mill only 60 k's to the north of us. So that will be very beneficial to the likes of ourselves and Metallisty on discovery of high-grade deposits at Kukani in the order of 10 to 15 grams or thereabouts. Next slide, please. So the work that we've done has been throughout this central portion. It has been underexplored recently as it lies undercover in the region, and most of the other zones that have been discovered, in fact all of the other high-grade zones, have been discovered on residual soils where the old timers could work and find high grade and go down in small pits and mines, such as Cosmopolitan with 360,000 ounces at 15 grams a tonne, and Champion to the north at 33,000 tonnes at 17 grams production. So there's very high grade. Immediately to the west of us, we have Metallisty, and they've had fantastic intercepts at their Leopold and McTavish projects, including 3 at 19, including 1 at 52, 1 at 80 within 5 at 17, 1 at 15 within 4 at 6. So very strong intercepts in our neighbours, which are literally hundreds of metres away from where we've been drilling and where we've been having success in the last Aircore programs. Next slide, please. So we've done 3 programs of exploration, of Aircore exploration over the last 6 months at Kukani. The first round of exploration, Aircore was excellent. So we got some great geochemical signatures, and we were able to follow that up with the second round of Aircore, which came in and managed to achieve ore grade intercepts with strike lengths of 160 metres and 500 metres. And the third round that we've just recently completed, we've tightened up the drill pattern to 20 by 20, and we'll be surrounding and infilling those results. But it's clear on this image that the lighter pink shading next to the darker pink, that's the alluvial material. And that alluvial material is a pathfinder and a vector to the high-grade residual gold mineralization at depth. And this has allowed us to extend the drilling from the phase 2 to the north and east, and that's a great target for us. So it's been a great leader for our exploration. So the intercepts that we've had have been pretty significant in Aircore. So 2 at 16 and 0.25 grams per tonne, 2 metres at 3, 2 metres at 2.27, 2 at 3.4 at McTavish East, and that's a 500 metre strike length. To the north of McTavish, we've got another zone which has got some great hits in the Aircore, including 6 at 1 with 2 at 3.43 within that, 10 at 0.74, including 6 at 1.09, 1 at 4.54, 6 at 1, and these are fabulous intercepts for Aircore. So we followed up that region as well with intensive 20 by 20 drilling, that we should see results back within 2 weeks or the end of June. So we're very excited about the outcome of those results. Next slide, please. Our second gold project, which we're very keen on, is the Orobandik South Gold Project. This is an hour north of Kalgoorlie. We picked this up last year. We have a 2-year option on this ground. So far, we've been able to get in and do a soil sampling program over the residual soils and do a data compilation to understand the gold deportment within the region. The reason we like this project so much is it has a very similar geological setting to the Invincible deposit that's owned by Goldfields at St Ives. So within the Black Flag group sediments, with the Carnage shear against the conglomerates, is the same geological setting as Invincible. Invincible currently is in excess of 2.5 million ounces at about 4 grams, and is one of the primary drivers of Goldfields production in the St Ives region. So this is pretty exciting. We can see that the zone is endowed with gold from the limited exploration that's been done in the past, and we hope to be able to put out some soil sample images and anomaly maps very soon, and be able to get drilling into this area in the next few months. So some of the intercepts that we've seen are 14 meters at 0.79, with 2 at 1.5 grams, 5 at 2.29. These results are indicative of a system that is enriched in gold. And the reason why it wasn't looked at previously, before Invincible was discovered, was no one really wanted to explore within this sediment package, but Invincible has changed people's mind on that. So we have 15 kilometers of strike to explore with very limited modern exploration on it. We're excited about our opportunity here in gold. Next slide, please. So moving on to platinum group metals and nickel, copper, we recently acquired the Barracuda project, which is 60 kilometers to the east of Mount Magnet. And there is an enormous ultramafic system here, very similar to perhaps an analogous to Chalice and its Julimar deposit, but this has not been explored in the same way. We own this one 100%. With the prices of palladium, platinum, rhodium, and ruthenium at record highs, this is a great opportunity to explore this large magmatic system. So our target would be massive sulfides, nickel sulfides, platinum elements within sulfides. We have a heli V10 booked for September. Obviously, everybody is looking for platinum group elements at the moment, and getting the equipment is time consuming and difficult. However, we got our slot booked for September, and we're very excited about seeing the results from that. So we expect to see EM results within this magmatic package. There aren't any sediments to confuse the technology, and so any anomalies will be very significant when we see them after the survey. In addition, we've taken all of the soil sampling data that was done previously and put that together, and are able to get a decent geochem map over the surface of the area. And the work that was done, well, the only work that was done in this way was done by Pan Continental back in the late 80s. So rock chips have provided some strong platinum anomalism for 3.45 and 3.39 grams per ton PGE, and as high as 8.27 from the Pan-Con mining days. So the system is obviously enriched. It has platinum group elements, and it's up to us to find them. Next slide, please. So as you can see, this is the outline of the project. The green area is the outcropping ultramafic package striking northeast southwest. There's 2 blue dots is where we took the samples and got the chromatites anomalism with platinum group elements. And our plan is to fly this V10 as soon as we possibly can, and then drill test those results. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. Grey Dam nickel sulfide project. When I started with Carnavale 10 months ago, we were working on the Grey Dam nickel sulfide project, and we did a detailed analysis of the data, which demonstrated endowment in copper and nickel and platinum and sulfides within the ultramafic package with a slightly different model, with a Cambalda style model. We did EM surveys over those areas and packages and drill tested those targets that we found with the EM surveys. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to get onto nickel sulfide in that area, but it still confirmed that the rock types and the geochemistry were the right sort for Kambalda style nickel sulfide mineralization. And we've moved on to do ultrafine fraction soils on the mafic package to the northwest under transported cover. Next slide, please. Next slide. So this is the northwest package of ultramafic, mafic rocks, and you can see our pattern of ultrafine fraction soils as white dots. Our initial early stage ultrafine fraction test work is there as coloured samples, and we can see that it identifies the ultramafic package and anomalism. So we've gone forward with a greater detail, and we hope to be able to see the results of this work very soon and put out an anomaly map for further drilling or EM in the next few months. Next slide. So that wraps up a summary of the 4 projects that we've got in nickel and gold. So primarily our momentum is at Kookynie with results from the 3rd round of air core coming up very soon in the next couple of weeks, which we're very excited about. That's detailed infill drilling on high grade hits such as 2 meters at 16.25. So we're very excited about the outcome of that, which will be followed up by drilling at Ora Banda of that invincible style model, which has a potential for in excess of a couple of million ounces, as well as our nickel and platinum group projects that are in the pipeline, with Heli V10 planned for Barracuda in September, which we're very excited about, to produce sulfide anomalism from the EM, and a follow-up additional work from the ultrafine fraction sampling at Grey Dam, looking for nickel sulfides there. Thank you very much for listening. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Humphrey. Great presentation. I would remind people, if they do have any questions, just submit those via the Q&A button on your screen. A couple of questions from me, or maybe to reiterate a couple of points. The business is clearly well funded to deliver this work program over the next 6-12 months.
Yeah, thank you, David. We had 4 million in the bank in March, and we've done 1 drill program subsequent. So the programs that I talked about and the work that we have planned in the pipeline of news and results and effort is all funded. Naturally, if we're successful in identifying great things, then we'll need further funds to expand that. But for the projects and for the detail that I've outlined, we're funded to do that for the next 6 to 8 months at least.
And you've got a significant track record in delivery of projects and building of substantial projects. What attracted you to these assets?
Well, I think it's not just these assets, but it's the people I'm working with as well. So the assets are fundamentally attractive in that they were something that we could acquire and explore well with the knowledge within the group, so Alan Neeshaw and Andy and myself. Undercover is an area that people haven't really looked at very well. So these were underexplored assets in a terrain that had historic positive outcomes for gold exploration. Within the nickel ground, again, underexplored areas, but with the right geology and the right geochemistry that would allow us to have a high chance of success in exploration.
And look, I'm always impressed when companies pick projects up, and the question I always look at is, given we're in Western Australia and we're an exploration state, if you like, and spend a lot of effort on exploration, how do you find such unique and exciting projects in a state where most shareholders would assume everything's been kicked, all the rocks have been looked at, all the holes have been dug?
Well, that's a terrific question, and I think we can point this in the last 2 years to Julimar, which is 45 minutes up the road from Perth, and with which Chalice is developing in the platinum space, platinum group element space. And additionally, of course, Hemi, which we'll find out what the big number is very shortly. But who would have thought that that was possible in WA? It's a big state. Those two projects had a different model attached to them, perhaps, and there's still many opportunities within Australia, and particularly within Western Australia, for great outcomes for shareholders.
And technology advances certainly help that as well.
Absolutely, technology always helps identify deposits. We see certainly at Ora Banda and Kukani that there's a zone of depletion. So the ability to have more detailed geochemistry, better detection limits in the labs, and good geology is always going to be helpful in finding new deposits. Invincible is in a totally different region in the sediments, and so that's analogous to where we are at Ora Banda. Who would have thought? And so that's been overlooked in past times.
And we do have questions that have come through. In terms of Ora Banda specifically, now we know it's a historical mining jurisdiction and town. What are some of the other projects that you know of being developed in the area?
Well, certainly Ora Banda mining is not far away, and the Ora Banda pits in the region are well known historically. The town was huge in its day, and was more developed than Kalgoorlie was originally. So people came up from Kalgoorlie first, but they were looking at the outcrops initially, and then obviously went in deeper on those deposits. So Ora Banda is a great spot for us.
And in terms of Kukani, I'll read this question as it's presented, just so I don't get it wrong. Notwithstanding the limitations of air core drilling, did the field geos at Kukani see any similar signatures to the second round of air core?
As you quite rightly, air core is challenging in that you're looking at rotten rocks and clays and all that sort of stuff. We do see the drilling going to similar depths, so we've got that deeper weathering in the structure. We see the very similar styles of localized geology close to the higher grade hits. So we're very encouraged about how that might unfold in the assay results. Naturally, I can't tell you anything further that hasn't been released in our ASX releases, but we're comfortable that we should get good outcomes. The difficulty for us at our second round of drilling, why we didn't go straight into RC, was to try and understand the three-dimensional nature of the anomalism at Kukani. So that's why we went to a 20 by 20 pattern around those 16-gram hits and the other plus 3-gram hits, so that we can identify that anomalism and then be able to drill deep underneath it to define the hard rock high-grade sources.
A corporate question. Is there any consideration being given to a share consolidation, or is that something that'll just take care of itself down the track?
With 2.3 billion shares on issue, that's a big number. So we're conscious of that. And at some point in the future, there probably will be a share consolidation, as is usual in the nature of small companies reinventing themselves in their share structure and tightening it up. At the moment, there is no plan. However, should we do a larger capital raise to develop any of these projects into bigger outcomes, then perhaps that is something we could do.
And finally, as we don't have any more questions coming through, just to reiterate to those who are watching today, what does the next sort of 3 to 6 months look like from a news flow perspective?
Pretty busy, David. We have that Kukani announcement with regards to the third round of air core, with that tight spaced air core. We should be hopeful for some high grade hits there. We've got soil sampling at Ora Banda that should show some anomalies within that 15-kilometre strike length for gold, and an air core program to follow up on that. In addition to the gold projects. We've got the Heli V10 at Barracuda, which we're very excited about, mapping out possible nickel sulfide, platinum group sulfides in September, plus the ultrafine fraction soil work that we're doing on the mafic, ultramafic package at Grey Dam undercover. So a lot going on. We're very pleased with what we've got. We're funded to do all of this work, and we're very hopeful for some great outcomes.
As you say, time ahead with a exciting portfolio of assets with substantial opportunity and news flow to come, well funded, with a strong technical team who has a track record in delivery. Humphrey, thanks for the presentation, and we'll watch with interest.
Thank you, David. Thanks everyone for listening in.